Hello and welcome to the Martini Shot. Today we are going to be reviewing the Bikeriders and revving up our engines with a strong whiskey cocktail called the Vandal. This will be a rather straightforward cocktail to build. You're going to be building it straight in the glass. I'm going to be using a rocks glass for this. So the first thing we're actually going to do is coat the glass with a little bit of absinthe. And you can do this multiple different ways. You can put a little bit in the glass, roll it around, and discard the rest. But what I like to do is put a little bit of absinthe into a atomizer or a spray bottle, and then just give the glass a nice little spritz. With that out of the way, now we can start building the drink itself. First starting with some simple syrup. I'm going to be doing a 1/4 ounce, but you can also do 1/2 ounce if you like your drinks a little sweeter. Follow that up with a little bit of mezcal. You're only going to need about a bar spoon. Then a 1/4 ounce of maraschino liqueur, 1/2 ounce of Jägermeister, 1.5 ounces of a whiskey of your choice. I'm going with bourbon. And then finally 2 dashes of Peychaud's bitters. Go ahead and throw a large ice cube into the glass. Give it a bit of a stir to chill. And finally garnish with a lemon peel. Don't forget to express those oils. And there you go. Now you have the Vandal. As to be expected, this is going to be a very spirit-forward cocktail. There's this nice blend of kind of slight licorice notes along with some allspice. That licorice or anise flavor is definitely going to be coming from the absinthe and the Peychaud's bitters, but I think they're complemented really well with the herbal nature of the Jägermeister, which I think is where some of those allspicey kind of flavors is coming from. And then you get the ever so slightly smokiness from the mezcal, which just a bar spoon of it goes quite a long way. And then there's even just a little bit of brightness which comes from the expression of those lemon peel oils. A lot of people tend to skip that step when they're making a cocktail, and I cannot stress how much it changes the drink if you actually express those oils. But overall, the ingredients in here really help to elevate whatever whiskey you're going to be using, and it'll help craft this nice, warm, sweet kind of experience. You could probably even ditch the simple syrup, honestly, just because the maraschino does bring in a decent amount of sweetness. Overall, this is a nice variation of a traditional whiskey cocktail, and I definitely think you should give it a try if it sounds up your alley. Now that we have our drink, let's get right into the review. As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a bike rider. Bikeriders is a crime drama loosely adapted from a photo book of the same name, which detailed the life and actions of a 1960s outlaw biker gang in Chicago. The film follows the fictional Vandals, which was formed by former truck driver Johnny Davis. The non-linear story follows the growth of the club and the actions of many of its members, with a majority of the story being told through the recounting of Kathy Bauer, who falls in love with a reckless member named Benny. Spanning the better part of a decade, we see members come and go, leadership changes, and loyalty put to the test. This was a super solid film from Jeff Nichols, being his first film in almost 8 years. It's a surgical dive into the hierarchies and operations of an ever-growing club whose foundation continues to weaken despite their growth and power. It hopes to shed light on the enigmatic pull these groups have and what draws people to join them, all while finding vulnerability beneath the leather-clad machismo front. Plus, it's just a smorgasbord of the most aggressive Midwestern accents, connected to some truly stellar performances that move you, entertain you, and perfectly represent the time period. It doesn't really get too introspective, nor does it really present any new takes on the aesthetic, but sometimes just a solid film with some great stars is all you need. I didn't include a Goodfellas reference at the beginning for nothing. I actually found a lot of parallels between the two, which may give you a better idea of what to expect. Structurally, they're very similar, bouncing to and from different periods in time, all while being guided by a narration. Additionally, it approaches biker gangs in a similar way that Goodfellas covered mobsters. Their live fast, die young lifestyles are undeniably magnetic, and the films make a really good case for why people get roped up in them to begin with. Both share very similar themes: familial structures, the powerless grabbing their own slice of control, and the sense of belonging to something, just to name a few. The Bikeriders may make you want to go out and get matching jackets with your buddies, but I think it illustrates the issues with the lifestyle fairly well. Truthfully, it shows enough glimpses of how it could all feasibly work, but because the environment breeds egotism, aggression, and lawlessness, it all seems like a pipe dream more than anything. The ripple effects of the group's rise are felt throughout as a younger, hungrier generation begins to rise through inspiration before eventually looking to usurp the old guard, which is prevalent in many walks of life outside of just gangs. Our guide through the rise and fall of the Vandals is Kathy Bauer, played by Jodie Comer, who in my opinion is the standout star of the film. A lot of it really comes down to her dialect and delivery, which really sells the time period and her as a character. Allured into the biker lifestyle through her infatuation infatuation with one of the riders, Kathy struggles to share her husband with the group once she realizes what they get up to. She feels second banana in Benny's eyes, which pivots her to fight for him to leave the group before his own self-destruction. Despite giving a stellar performance, she doesn't get a ton of narrative importance until the end, which is a shame considering her outside-looking-in situation could have led to a more interesting story. Benny, played by Austin Butler, only knows the lifestyle, being perhaps the only thing in his life to ever give him a sense of purpose and belonging. It doesn't help that the budding bromance between him and Johnny intensifies as Johnny makes it clear he wants Benny to run the club, obviously. Or is there more to it? Played captivatingly by Tom Hardy, Johnny goes from being a simple truck driver enamored by Marlon Brando to the leader of a state-spanning gang with countless members. His vision goes beyond what he intended, the pressures of which begin to alter his mind and thinking. His relationship with Benny is a great unpeeling of male relationships where neither are willing to really address their feelings towards one another. Not even in a directly romantic way either. Sometimes even just telling someone how much they matter to you is hidden underneath manly posturing to not appear weak. They respond in ways only men can, usually through wanton acts of violence, like Johnny burning down a bar after Benny gets jumped in it. This is true not just between these two, but many of the other gang members as well, which also include great character performances from the likes of Michael Shannon to Norman Reedus. The relationships between the bikers are often quite endearing, humorous, and occasionally frightening. Their consistently unpredictable and volatile personalities keep you wondering who is long to live and who may betray who. It's highly entertaining, but I will admit the narrative and a lot of the big moments are fairly predictable. You can see a lot of the turns coming a mile away, and while the deconstruction of masculinity is welcome and interesting, it doesn't really say anything we don't already know. Because other films like Goodfellas have already ridden down this road before, you don't find much to be insightful at the end of the day. What helps Goodfellas stand the test of time is the kinetic energy that remains consistent throughout the film, keeping you entertained and enamored even if you've been down this road before. The Bikeriders isn't boring or slow by any means, but I do think it lacks the same edginess, the same teetering to offend that gives films like Goodfellas a more dangerous air to them. There's some tough and gritty moments here for sure, but everything feels a bit too clean at times. With that being said, the Bikeriders does find some success in its more delicate and intimate portrayals. Scenes such as Michael Shannon discussing being rejected from fighting in Vietnam to Austin Butler's emotional release at the end are all stellar examples. The spirit of 60s and 70s Americana feels mostly faithfully reconstructed, drawing modern-day parallels to a time many said were simpler, but it's clear many of its issues continue to remain ubiquitous. Potentially lining up to be the most dad film of the year, The Bikeriders is a solid time, even if it feels like you've seen this before. Its portrayal of mid-century Midwesternism and boys club mentality is engaging, if not familiar, captained by some solid performances that cover a wide range of emotions to mostly success. Its conventional nature makes it just approachable enough, yet those wanting a newer lens to view these themes through may want to keep looking. I always said I'd never be a motorcycle guy, but with us coming up on 1,000 subscribers, I went ahead and put some down payments on some jackets if anyone wants to join my new gang, the Martini Shotters. Oh, what the fuck? For my rating, I'm giving this film 3.5 packs of cigarettes out of 5. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Martini Shot. If you saw the Bikeriders, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. If you like what you saw here and would like to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me across all social media channels. Those links are down in the description below. If you enjoy movie reviews and movie-themed cocktails, be sure to check out my website, martinishot.blog. Until next time, thank you again for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Live deliciously, but please remember to drink responsibly.